Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, the hubby, they come to Warner Bros. Hey, we got this new 3-on-3 league that we're gonna start. If I'm TNT, Warner Bros, they gotta feel had. TNT, is Caitlin Clark gonna be in there? Oh yeah.
You've probably seen the headlines, the panicked forum posts, the YouTube comment sections on fire. There's a story going around that a revolutionary new women's basketball league, Unrivaled, backed by the power of TNT and Warner Brothers Discovery, is already on the verge of a catastrophic collapse.
Friday's ratings come out, damn, 17 million for the college football playoff. Needless to say, the ratings have not been better. But we scroll all the way down that screen and you see Unrivaled, 30,000 viewers in the 18 to 49 demographic.
The stories paint a grim picture. Viewership has supposedly cratered by a staggering 63%. Star players are allegedly fleeing, games are being called unwatchable, played in silent arenas, and the network execs who poured millions into the project, well, they're scrambling, realizing they've been sold a 9-figure lie. It's a spectacular story of ambition, hype, and disastrous failure.
Breeze Hive were a combined 1 for 26 from 3. You read that correctly. A combined.
The narrative is that Unrivaled, the league founded by WNBA titans Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, is a train wreck in slow motion. We've even heard whispers of a so-called cocaine and chaos scandal, of delusional founders making excuses, and of a network just waiting to pull the plug. It's the kind of drama that gets clicks and fuels debate for weeks.
The college football playoff audience, they don't give a fuck about Unrivaled. Nobody said, oh man, I would really love to watch Unrivaled today, but the college football playoffs are... No, it ain't happening. It ain't happening.
But here's the thing about a story that sounds too perfect, too disastrous to be true. Sometimes it is. The narrative of Unrivaled's epic failure is spreading like wildfire. But is it based on reality, or is it the biggest fake news hit job in modern sports? We decided to investigate. But we went past the headlines and the rumors and dug into the real numbers, the financial reports, the broadcast contracts, and what the people inside the league are actually saying. The story we found isn't one of a simple collapse. It's a far more complex and fascinating tale about the brutal realities of building a sports league, the politics of media, and the bizarre battle between perception and reality.
We want them to be consistently high no matter if we play on Friday or Saturday, Sunday. People aren't typically used to seeing women's professional basketball at this time unless you're watching EuroLeague or something like that.
So, what is really going on with Unrivaled? Let's break it down. Before we get to the facts, you have to understand the story that's being told, because it's a compelling one. It all starts with one number, the number you've seen everywhere, that Unrivaled's television ratings are in an absolute freefall. The narrative goes like this. After a mediocre but passable first season, Season 2 has been a viewership apocalypse. Viral posts and video commentaries claim that recent games are drawing as few as 30,000 viewers in the key advertising demo, with total viewership struggling to even break the 100,000 mark. When you compare that to last year's alleged numbers, you get that catastrophic drop of over 60%. This is the smoking gun, the undeniable proof that the audience has bailed. Critics are quick to point out that these numbers are worse than late-night infomercials, and that reruns of old sitcoms pull in more viewers. They argue this is happening even without much competition, suggesting a fundamental rejection of the product itself. This ratings disaster is then tied to the second pillar of the collapse story. The on-court product is supposedly unwatchable. Critics, both amateur and professional, have labeled the games as sloppy and low energy, lacking the fire that defines pro sports. You'll see specific damning stats thrown around, like one game where two teams supposedly shot a combined 1 for 26 from three-point range. The vibe, as one commentator put it, is less professional league and more YMCA pickup game. This paints a picture of a league that, despite having professional athletes, simply isn't delivering a compelling show. The sizzle, they say, has completely fizzled. The third part of this story is what they call the star power mirage. The league was pitched to network execs and the public on the promise of its stars. The biggest name dangled, of course, was Caitlin Clark, the once-in-a-generation talent who's a ratings magnet wherever she goes. But Clark opted out of both seasons, citing the need for rest. The failure narrative insists that other major stars followed her lead. Names like Sabrina Ionescu and Angel Reese are listed as stars who are absent from the league's second season. The story goes that the founders, Stewart and Collier, basically sold TNT a bill of goods, promising a roster of superstars they just couldn't deliver. The result, according to this narrative, is a diluted talent pool and a league that feels second-rate. And what's a good collapse story without a little scandal? To top it all off, a bizarre story emerged about an incident at one of the league's events in Medley, Florida. The tale involves a fan being arrested for trespassing, trying to bribe a cop, and being found with suspected cocaine. In the context of the failure narrative, this isn't just a random incident, it's framed as a symptom of a deeper sickness. Critics use it as a dark punchline. The games are so boring that fans need illegal stimulants just to stay awake. Finally, you have the panicked executive. The story concludes that the brass at TNT and Warner Bros. Discovery are in a full-blown panic. They've invested in a multi-year, 9-figure media rights deal and are getting infomercial-level return. The narrative suggests they're already looking for an exit clause in their contract, desperate to cut their losses on what they now see as a massive blunder. So there it is, a ratings crash, an unwatchable product, missing stars, a whiff of scandal, and panicked network partner. It's a perfect story of failure. It's dramatic, it's juicy, and it confirms the cynical view that new sports leagues are destined to fail. But now, let's hold that story up to the light and see how much of it is actually true. The entire narrative of Unrivaled's collapse hinges on that shocking 63% ratings drop. It's a number that's easy to repeat and sounds devastatingly precise. But when you look at the real publicly reported viewership numbers, a much more complicated picture emerges. The story of a simple collapse begins to fall apart. First, let's address the numbers directly. Reports from credible sports media outlets did confirm a viewership decline at the start of Season 2. The opening slate of games on January 5th averaged 155,000 viewers for the game's simulcast on TNT and True TV. Games that aired only on the less distributed True TV channel had lower viewership, with some averaging as low as 32,000 viewers. Now, how does this compare to season? Unrivaled's opening night in its debut season averaged 312,000 viewers. So a drop from 312,000 to 105,000 on opening night is significant. That's a 44% decline. It's not 63%, but it's still a steep drop that is undeniably concerning for any league. Later games in the opening weeks of Season 2 saw further declines, with the TNT and True TV broadcast on January 9th averaging 139,000 viewers. So the ratings are down, that part is true, but the why is where the story gets twisted. The collapse narrative presents this in a vacuum, as if viewers are just rejecting the league. The reality of the broadcast landscape is far different. Those opening games of Unrivaled's second season went head-to-head with some of the biggest events on the sports calendar, the NFL playoffs and the college football playoff, events that regularly draw tens of millions of viewers. To expect a second-year league to hold its ground against that kind of competition is just unrealistic. The league itself has acknowledged the numbers while providing this crucial context. In a statement, Unrivaled president Alex Bazell said, "We're building Unrivaled for the long game, and we're confident in our outlook. Leagues aren't built overnight." Co-founder Brianna Stewart also spoke to the challenge, noting that audiences aren't used to watching women's pro basketball in January, unless they're dedicated fans who follow international leagues. Now, don't get me wrong, a drop is a drop, and both the league and its broadcast partner TNT want to see growth, not decline. Back in March 2025, TNT Sports executives were already brainstorming ways to grow the audience, including taking the league on the road instead of just playing in Miami. One TNT producer even noted the challenge of a single-site venue, saying, "It is a very repetitive broadcast every week because it's the same arena. This shows a network that's actively problem-solving, not panicking and looking for the exit. They're acting like a partner invested in long-term success." And that makes sense, because they are. It's crucial to understand that Warner Bros. Discovery isn't just a broadcaster, they are an equity partner in the league. Their deal with Unrivaled is a multi-year agreement. When they signed on, TNT Sports Chairman and CEO Luis Silberwasser said their goal was to shape and amplify the continued growth of women's basketball. That's the language of a long-term strategic investment, not a short-term ratings grab. They invested knowing that building an audience takes time. So while the ratings crash headline is catchy, it's deeply misleading. The real story is that a young league saw a significant but context-dependent ratings dip while facing monster competition. Its network partner, which is also a part owner, is publicly talking about growth strategies. This is a story of a challenge, not a catastrophe. It's the normal, difficult business of building a sports property, not the five-alarm fire the online narrative claims. The panic isn't in the boardrooms, it's in the comment sections. Next up on the Unrivaled is failing checklist, the idea of a star power mirage. This argument claims the league is a shell of what was promised because the biggest names, especially Caitlin Clark, aren't playing. It suggests a mass exodus of talent that has left the league with a watered-down product. This, just like the ratings story, cherry-picks a few facts while ignoring the mountain of evidence to the contrary. Let's start with the obvious. Does Unrivaled have every single star? No. Caitlin Clark, the biggest name in the sport, hasn't participated, and some players from the first season, like Angel Reese and Sabrina Ionescu, didn't return for season 2. These are facts, and they're the only facts the negative narrative focuses on. But to frame this as a catastrophic talent drain is a wild distortion. The reality is that for its second season, Unrivaled expanded its roster and arguably increased its overall talent depth. The league grew from 6 to 8 teams, creating 12 new roster spots. This wasn't a desperate move. It was accelerated a year ahead of schedule because the league outperformed its financial projections in its first year. And who filled these spots? The 2026 Unrivaled rosters are stacked with elite WNBA talent. We're talking about players like Brittany Griner, Kelsey Plum, Skylar Diggins, and Aaliyah Boston. The league also attracted one of the most exciting new players in the sport, the 2025 WNBA Rookie of the Year, Paige Bueckers, who was the #1 pick in the 20. In total, 48 active WNBA players are competing in the league. That's not the sign of a league players are fleeing, it's the sign of a league that top-tier professionals are actively choosing to join. The reasons for this are clear, and they get to the heart of why Unrivaled was founded in the first place. The league offers players something they desperately need, a chance to earn a huge income during the WNBA offseason, without the grind of playing overseas. In its first year, Unrivaled paid an average salary of over $220,000 for an 8-week season. That's significantly more than the average WNBA base salary for a much longer season. And here's the revolutionary part. The players in Unrivaled are also owners. They all get an equity stake in the league, meaning they share directly in its financial success. As co-founder Nafisa Collier put it, for players to have a piece of the pie, essentially to grow their generational wealth, is something we're really excited about. This player-centric model is the league's secret weapon. It has created a powerful reason for players to show up. While not having a transcendent star like Caitlin Clark currently hurts with casual viewers, the idea that the league is lacking talent is just false. A league that features dozens of WNBA All-Stars, MVPs, and exciting rookies is, by any objective measure, a high-level professional product. The narrative of the star power mirage conveniently ignores all of this, focusing only on who isn't there. The reality is that Unrivaled has assembled an incredible collection of talent, giving them unprecedented pay and ownership. It's a league built by players, for players, and that structure has proven to be a powerful draw. This is where the Unrivaled collapse narrative goes from misleading to completely wrong. The claim that the league is a financial black hole with panicking investors couldn't be further from the truth. While the TV ratings are a challenge, the underlying business of Unrivaled isn't just stable. By all available metrics, it's a shocking success story. Let's talk valuation. In May of 2024, before a single game was played, the league was in its early fundraising stages. By September 2025, after a successful debut season, Unrivaled closed a new investment round that valued the league at a jaw-dropping $340 million. That's a tenfold increase in value in just over a year. That's not the sign of a failing business. It's the sign of a business that is exploding with potential in the eyes of the people writing the checks. And who are these investors? They're not fools being sold a lie. The list of backers is a who's who of smart money. It includes investment firms like Bessemer Venture Partners, Warner Brothers Discovery, the parent Carpin of TNT, and a roster of legendary athletes who know a smart bet when they see one. Serena Williams, Stephen Curry, Alex Morgan, and Michael Phelps are all investors. These sophisticated investors are in it because the league's financial performance has been incredibly strong. Unrivaled president Alex Bizzell confirmed that the league outperformed its revenue expectations in Season 1 by almost doubling it. In its very first year, the league generated revenues of over $27 million. It came close to breaking even, nearly unheard of for a startup sports league, and is on track to turn a profit in. This financial success is what allowed the league to expand from 6 to 8 teams a year ahead of schedule. It's what allows them to pay the highest average salaries in women's team sports history and still be sustainable. And it's what has TNT executives talking about long-term growth, not escape hatches. That broadcast deal, often cited as a point of panic, is actually a pillar of stability. It's a multi-year deal reported to be worth around $100 million over 6 years. For TNT, this is a strategic play. It gives them premium live sports in the winter, deepens their investment in the booming women's sports market, and makes them a literal partner in the league's success. So, when you hear the narrative of panicked executives and a financial collapse, compare it to the facts. The facts are a $340 million valuation, a list of legendary investors, revenues that doubled expectations, and a stable, long-term media partnership. The story of financial ruin isn't just wrong, it's the complete opposite of the truth. Unrivaled is proving to be one of the most successful sports startup stories in recent memory. To really get what Unrivaled is, you have to look past the box scores and balance sheet. You have to see it for what it is: a quiet revolution in professional sports. This league wasn't cooked up by venture capitalists in a boardroom. It was born from a huge problem in women's basketball, and it was started by the players who lived that problem every day. For years, being an elite WNBA player came with a harsh reality. The salaries, while growing, weren't enough for most to live on year-round, especially compared to the NBA. This forced the vast majority of players into a grueling off-season grind. They'd finish their WNBA season and immediately fly to Europe, Asia, or Australia to play a second full season just to make ends meet. It meant year-round basketball, no time for rest, recovery, or family. It led to burnout and a higher risk of injury. This was the problem that Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart, two of the best players on the planet, set out to solve. They imagined a new model, a competitive, high-level league in the US that would run during the WNBA offseason. It would pay players a huge salary, letting them skip the overseas grind. But their vision went even further. They didn't just want to create a league for players to work in, they wanted to create a league for players to own. This idea of player ownership is the revolutionary heart of Unrivaled. Every player who joins the league gets an equity stake. They are not just employees, they are partners. They share in the risks, but more importantly, they share in the profits and the rapidly growing valuation. This completely changes the power dynamic that has defined pro sports for a century. As league president Alex Bizzell said, "The players are largely majority shareholders. They are going to reap the benefits of these growing valuations." This model has created a powerful sense of buy-in from the athletes. They aren't just playing for a paycheck. They're building their own enterprise. You can see it in how the players themselves have become the league's biggest promoter. The league has empowered them to use their own social media to build the brand, creating a direct, authentic connection with fans. Beyond the money, Unrivaled has also focused on creating a world-class environment for its athletes, providing luxury housing, childcare, personalized chefs, and top-tier training facilities. These aren't just perks, they're essential support systems that treat the players like the valuable assets they are. The creation of Unrivaled is also sending ripples across the entire sport. It's putting pressure on the WNBA as it negotiates a new labor agreement. Unrivaled has proven that you can build a sustainable business that pays players significantly more and gives them better benefits. It has raised the bar. As Breanna Stewart said, the goal was to show what was possible and to change the conversation from one of charity to one of serious business. The failure narrative completely misses this. It judges Unrivaled by the simple metric of overnight TV ratings and fails to see the movement behind it. A player-led revolution designed to solve a systemic problem, create generational wealth, and reshape the business of women's sport. That's the real story, and it's a story of empowerment and success that is just getting started. So, let's go back to the big question. Did Unrivaled's ratings crash by 63%, sending network executives into a panic? The answer is a clear and definitive no. The reality is far more nuanced and frankly way more interesting. Unrivaled is a young league navigating the tough waters of modern media. It did see a real drop in viewership at the start of its second season. That shouldn't be ignored, but this happened while going up against the juggernaut of the NFL playoffs, and it's been met with a problem-solving approach from its invested network partner, not panic. The pervasive narrative of total failure, built on decontextualized ratings, a false picture of its roster, and a complete misunderstanding of its financial health, is a fiction. It's a perfect example of how a negative story can catch fire on social media, obscuring a much more positive and complex truth. The real story of Unrivaled isn't one of collapse, but one of incredible success where it matters most for the long haul. It's a business that has seen its valuation explode to $340 million, backed by some of the smartest investors in the world. It's a league that expanded ahead of schedule because it was already outperforming financial projection. And it's a destination that keeps attracting a deep roster of elite professional talent. Most importantly, it's a revolutionary, player-owned enterprise that is fundamentally changing the economic model for female athletes. It's given them a powerful and lucrative alternative to the overseas grind and a real stake in their own future. The journey for Unrivaled is far from over. It faces real challenges in growing its audience in a crowded sports, but to call it a failure is to ignore the overwhelming evidence of its success. Unrivaled isn't a lie sold to panicked executives. It's a new blueprint for what a sports league can be, built from the ground up by the very athletes who are its heart and soul. And that is a story worth watching. What do you think is the biggest factor for a new league's success? Is it overnight ratings, star power, or a sustainable business model? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you want more deep dives that go beyond the headlines in the world of sports business, make sure to like and subscribe. The story of women's sports is evolving faster than ever, and you won't want to miss what comes next.